DC Comics has decided to introduce Bane into the Absolute Batman universe. However, one of Bane's co creators isn't exactly liking the new design.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast and consider becoming a channel member. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with Bane, he was famously portrayed by Tom Hardy in The Dark Knight Rises. You merely adopted the Doc. I was born in it, molded by it. And of course, he also appeared in Batman and Robin, which is a largely forgettable film. I don't even know who played him, and all he does is go, "Urgh," the whole movie. So, now Bane has actually been one of Batman's most fearsome villains ever since he was introduced in Batman Nightfall, a story arc by Chuck Dixon, or partially by Chuck Dixon. He wrote a lot of what was going on there, and he also co created Bane with Graham Nolan, who is himself an incredibly talented artist and writer. The two of them designed Bane to be one of Batman's most deadliest foes, and he has the record of being the man who broke Batman's back in the comics. Even with all the Crisis and the Metal events where they rebooted Batman, that has stayed consistent. Bane is the man who broke the bat. So it stands to reason that he has been in numerous versions of Batman through video games, through TV shows, through animated series. He has appeared frequently. Like I said, no surprise there. Now he is appearing in the Absolute Batman universe. Now, I have not read Absolute Batman yet. I'm waiting for the graphic novel to come out. But I did think it was interesting because one of Bane's co creators actually slammed the new design for the character. I will put an image of the Absolute Bane on the screen as I read this article from Fandom Pulse. Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta have made some absurd design choices in Absolute Batman, but now Bane co creator Graham Nolan has come out against the new design of Absolute Bane as a terrible abomination. And then they go into some of the details regarding Absolute Batman, some of the history of it, and other sort of weird mistakes that Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta have made throughout the series. And then they continue on about Bane. Now, DC Comics has revealed a new design for Absolute Bane by Nick Dragotta, which is in the same vein. The character's original creator, Graham Nolan, is none too thrilled. He tweeted an image of the design saying, "As the designer co-creator of Bane, this is a terrible abomination." A fan asked if the head was part of the problem, to which Nolan replied, "We can start there." He even received a concerned troll about the topic where a fan asked, "Graham, you rock, man, but don't you think there's room for other artists to reimagine the character?" Nolan replied, "Of course, many have, and done excellent interpretations. This is not one of them." His post is going viral on the topic as fans are questioning the design of the Absolute DC universe once more, and the company seems. His post is going viral on the topic as fans are questioning the designs of the Absolute DC universe once more, as the company seems to like to be mired in company with all of their reworkings of classic characters. And as you can see, this design is very different from the original, which I'll put up in a moment. But take a look at this. I actually kind of agree with Graham Nolan. Now, Bane co-creator Chuck Dixon, he has yet to respond to this, at least as the recording of this video. But I have to admit, whenever Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon would put Bane in one of their comics, he was always designed very symmetrically. This is not symmetrical. Now, I don't really have a problem with the costume. I think the costume looks all right. It's obviously inspired by the Arkhamverse in some ways and possibly by the Young Justice design, but I still don't care for this. This is very, very odd to me how they design where he's got like this paper thin neck and a really tiny head. Now, take a look at the classic version of Bane. This is the typical design. You see this in Nightfall, you see this in Batman Bane, you see this in Bane Conquest. This is typically what the character would look like. Now, Batman the Animated Series did a variation of this, and like I said, they made his mask look more like a luchador mask, but it still maintains the design. Now, New Batman Adventures went a different route where they still had him huge and he still has the same kind of outfit, but they gave him a different mask and sort of a dog collar type thing. To me, he looks more like Rubio, which was a character introduced in Mike Barron's two-part series in the Batman comic books. But I still think it looks cool. Like, this still captures the character. I loved it when he was featured in Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. That animated film is what I most associate with this design. So yeah, other artists have done their own interpretations of Bane, and sometimes I'll hear a creator of a character come on board and they're like, oh, hey, I don't like this new design. And sometimes I roll my eyes. Hey, it's comic books. People change in them all the time, whether they be hero or villain. They go through comic book redesigns. This happens all the time. Batman included, Bane included. And even in the very lame City of Bane arc by Tom King, I still like how they designed Bane's outfit in that space where he conquered Gotham City. Again, I didn't like that arc. I thought it was dumb, but I did like Bane's design of it. All that to say, I'm not impressed with the Absolute Batman design. I think that they didn't do a good job of making him seem symmetrical. It looked like they were trying to play off some sort of bodybuilder who's addicted to steroids. And granted, Bane is addicted to Venom, which is a sort of mega steroid. And of course, famously in Batman Arkham Asylum, there's a newer version of it called Titan, which the Joker gets a hold of and turns himself into that sort of Bane Joker hybrid. Anyway, back to the costumes. I am not crazy about this one. I have seen some characters get some pretty lame redesigns in Batman reboots or in alternate universes. But I'm not saying this is the worst Bane I've ever seen, but it's up there. Probably the worst is the one from Batman and Robin, let's be real. This at least tries to capture what he looks like, but the whole thing with the paper thin neck and the peanut head. I'm just not on board with that. I agree with Graham Nolan. I think that they should have gone a different route in Absolute Batman. And who knows, maybe they'll correct it. Probably the worst, like I said, is Batman and Robin, but second worst was from the animated show The Batman, where he starts off thin and he's kind of wrapped in this weird sort of wire costume, and then when he activates the venom, all of a sudden he turns into this giant red version of the Hulk. That was probably the second worst, but this is definitely among the worst. I would say it's bottom 10 easily, but I still like the original design and, like I said, the Batman animated series designs, as well as the Arkhamverse version of the character. All that to say, I agree with Graham Nolan. What about you? Do you agree or disagree? Do you like this design? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends. As I stated earlier, leave me a comment and tell me what you think, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, become a channel member, or head on over to my locals community. It's where I post all my author updates at studiojakemedia.locals.com. You can also sign up for a monthly tier, or you can send my articles tips. Not to mention, if you're feeling extra generous, head on over to my website, studiojakemedia.com, which will be getting a reboot very, very soon. So you're going to want to head on over and check that out before the new version launches. You can also support me by picking up one or all four of my books and leaving me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators myself. You can find them all on Amazon.com. I've got the supernatural thriller Cacophony. I've got the Sword and Sorcery series. Try saying that 5 times fast. The Seven Royals. Book 1 is All Good Things. Book 2 is Breaking the Stars. And Book 3 is on its way. I'm going to have an announcement about that very soon. Also, I've got my latest novella, Blessed Child. I hope you check it out. It's a fantasy romance about faith under fire, and it's got everything you could want. It's got princesses, knights, action, magic, and everything in between. So yeah, pick up one or all four and leave me a 5-star review. As I said earlier, it really helps out writers like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.